A big treat for a small turtle. A hesitant eagle, the first outing of polar bear cubs, a musical performance for whales, and much more. In this episode, you'll see the most amazing and funny animal reactions. Turtles are remarkable animals that never fail to make you smile. But did you know they're even cuter and more adorable when they're young? Especially when they try something for the first time, like strawberries. What do you think? Did the little turtle enjoy it? Animals always try something for the first time. It's a fact that can't be denied. Some, like the turtle, try strawberries, while others take their first flight. I'm talking about the egg-eating eagle, who became the main character of the next video. This bird of prey from the hawk family has a rather elegant physique, a relatively low body mass, and very long wings. You have to be able to manage all of this. But what if you've never flown before? That's right, you shouldn't be afraid to try. The egg-eating eagle slowly rose above its nest, gaining confidence and getting used to the headwind. Then, inspired by the flight of its two companions, it dared to soar into the sky. However, its flight session didn't last very long. In less than a minute, the egg-eating eagle was back on the ground, but already far from its nest. So consider the return path non-existent. In any case, I think this bird took off quite successfully. Not bad for the first time, wouldn't you agree? Moreover, while it's learning to fly, some animals cannot even walk properly. But there's nothing wrong with that. The hippopotamus in the video was only recently born, so these are its first steps, and it seems to have managed them quite well, don't you think? Besides, its mother constantly watches over the little one, never leaving its side and always ready to either protect or help with any life challenge. I'm confident that under such conditions, the hippo will learn everything quickly. Dogs and cats are sworn enemies. Others say they're best friends, but I believe they're animals without bias. They don't even know the other exists until they encounter each other in person. Here's how it looks, by the way. I don't even know who is more agitated in this case, the dog, who couldn't find a place for itself, or the cat, with its shocked expression. It seems that dogs don't know much about this world. They don't have access to the internet or TV or books, so they have to learn all life's secrets through experience or with the help of a kind owner. The girl who filmed the next video decided to show everyone how her dog would either love or be frightened by fire. She used a lighter in its presence for the first time, and this is what happened. Listen, maybe the dog knew about fire, and it reacted this way on purpose because it understood that playing with it at home, especially on the bed, is absolutely out of the question. Animals are so smart that this version seems entirely plausible. I watch various videos online where animals do or try something for the first time and catch myself thinking that they should be introduced to everything, not only because it's right from an evolutionary standpoint, but also because animals can find their favorite entertainment in a particular object. That's exactly what happened with the elephant in our next video. People brought a ball to it for the first time in its life and completely left it to the elephant. What do you think happened? This little one, who had only recently learned to walk, was already using it fully. He kicks it, holds it with his trunk, and sniffs it. In short, they became inseparable, which I cannot say about the girl from the next video and her beloved hippo. She constantly brought it food and became its best friend in the animal's eyes. The hippo approached her once again at the designated lunchtime, opened its mouth expecting something hearty and unusual, and it partially got what it wanted. The hippo was treated to something unusual, but calling it hearty or even just tasty would be a stretch. The girl fed the poor thing a lemon first, followed by another. Despite the hippo's large size, powerful jaw, and enormous appetite, it was not impressed with the lemon meal. I think this incident will end their warm relationship, and the hippo will stop trusting the biped. At least its reaction and offended look tell me just that. Hippos, by the way, are not the only animals you can feed a lemon to. If you also want to be in the girl's place and test an animal, take your dog, as the author of the next video did. He tossed her a lemon wedge, which prompted a whole range of different emotions from her. Her face showed despair, anger, joy, and at the same time, confusion. Write in the comments what you managed to read on her face. Although there's a more harmless way to test your favorite pet. To do this, show them a mirror for the first time. This works especially well with puppies. Like in this video, you show her a reflection and she starts sparring with herself. The main thing is that the glass doesn't crack, but otherwise it's very funny and at the same time useful for the animal. Now it will know what a mirror is and what it can be used for. I know that pandas aren't the most agile animals and never hurry anywhere, but for them to be so clumsy, this little one was just born recently but has already managed to cheer up a lot of people. It became the main character in a video where the panda tries to roll over but can't. By the way, this isn't a particular trait of this specific individual. It's quite a normal phenomenon. The animal's muscles are not yet strong enough, so it can't just get up on a flat surface. And you don't have to look far. Remember adult pandas who fall from side to side or roll down a slope like this. Let's take a break from the cute and funny videos and look at a very touching photo. It depicts a happy and sweet puppy of one of my subscribers. The guy sent me this photo with one simple purpose: for us to help him come up with a name for the pet. He recently took it from a shelter, was arranging the room, buying food, and couldn't come up with a suitable name. Write your suggestions in the comments. It's a boy, by the way. As you can see, this is a family of polar bears. These are the Arctic bears, considered the largest land mammals of the carnivore order. Their name was given for the characteristic white color of their fur. In the video before you, the mother is raising her second offspring. Although polar bears are very strong, they're blind at birth with closed auditory passages and weak hair covering. Only after a month do these little ones gain their sight and see this beautiful world for the first time. On average, about a month after that, the cubs start exploring the den and dare to crawl outside. In 3 months, they'll leave their native home with their mother and lead a nomadic life. At first, the cubs grow quite quickly, but the growth rate slows down later, and it even stops during hibernation. The cubs stay with their mother for about 2 seasons. They'll reach sexual maturity in 3 to 4 years and live for about 25 to 30 years. The record holder lived to be 42. Here's advice for everyone with a small child at home. If you allow them to walk around the apartment, install similar gates in potentially dangerous places. If you didn't know, they're easy to remove and make the child's life much more pleasant and safe. But if you decide to install them, warn your cat that it won't be able to get through. When it sees such a gate for the first time, it will definitely try to slip through. I watch different videos on the internet and realize that animals don't need much for happiness. It's enough for them to see snow for the first time in their lives, and they'll be ecstatic. They forget about all their worries or even grudges and fully immerse themselves in the falling white flakes from the sky. If you think only cats or dogs are capable of such naive behavior, I'll quickly dissuade you. It's also inherent to pandas, and they enjoy snow in the most adorable way. Just look at this video at how the panda happily runs along the path, then stands on its hind legs and tries to catch the snow. Wonderful, isn't it? While pandas are amazed by snow, primates are shocked by the tricks tourists show when they visit them. People decided to have some fun with a primate and showed it a trick with a disappearing leaf. For us humans, this is a quite understandable trick that doesn't even require any special technique. But judging by the primate's reaction, it's something fantastic and out of the ordinary. The monkey barely held back from screaming in surprise and kept looking around. What if its fellow monkeys noticed it was interacting with magicians? They might kick it out of the tribe. To avoid attracting unnecessary attention, the primate even covered its mouth with its hand at some point, but this didn't change the overall picture. The monkey was shocked and decided it'd be better to run away before the next trick affected it. What do you know about humpback whales? The fact that they got their name because of their dorsal fin that resembles a hump doesn't count. The fact that the humpback is a rather large whale doesn't count either. All right, I won't keep you waiting. Humpback whales are famous among scientists for their vocal repertoire. Experts believe it plays a particularly important role in their reproduction. The male's song typically consists of a series of frequency-modulated sounds and phrases ranging from 40 to 5,000 hertz. Such a performance can last up to half an hour. Can also be repeated for several hours or even days. Depending on which population an individual belongs to, it may sing a specific song. Whales play both solo and in chorus. Scientists associate the latter option with aggression. So why am I saying all this? A girl who plays the violin learned about this fact and decided to try playing something for the humpback whale. Surprisingly, her gift didn't go unnoticed. The animal actually surfaced and began listening to the music. Either the whale simply hoped to see who was performing, or it was listening and taking notes so it could impress a female next time. It seems that all animals in the world like musical instruments. Crows are no exception. A man sat by the window, practicing his new song, when suddenly a passing crow decided to join him. It didn't sit quietly on the sidelines like the whale did. Instead, the crow joined the show and either sang along with the man or told him how to do it better. It's a pity that humans don't study the crow language in school, so all the bird's comments went unnoticed. If any of you understand it, let us know in the comments what the crow meant. It's no secret that cats hate taking showers, even if it's their first one, like with this sweet kitten. It stands there, not moving, trusting its owner, but inside, believe me, indescribable emotions are boiling. By the way, do you know why this is? Specialists explain this phenomenon by the fact that animals simply don't want to get cold. They have a special air layer between their skin and fur, which plays a key role in thermoregulation. If a cat gets wet, the fur will no longer protect it from the cold, and it theoretically might freeze to death. Unfortunately, no matter how much the pet shakes itself, it can't dry instantly. This is why cats are afraid to take showers. Who knows what will happen afterward? Penguins, however, aren't afraid of water at all. This family of flightless seabirds includes 18 modern species, each of which can swim and dive quickly and skillfully. What's great is that penguins aren't afraid of water contact, even at a young age. That's why people from the Animal Protection Center decided to teach the penguin chick in the video its vital ability. I must admit, I was afraid it wouldn't succeed, that the little one would back away and run out of the water as it was touching it for the first time. But no, nothing like that happened. It immediately dived underwater and started swimming in circles quite well. I don't think this is just because of the shallow pool. Most likely, swimming is simply in these birds' blood. Do you know what these creatures are? Yes, that's right. These are meerkats, more accurately, another family of these highly organized animals. I didn't choose this characteristic by chance. These creatures actually constantly unite in colonies that include 2 to 3 family groups, totaling 20 to 30 individuals. On average, one family group controls a territory of about 1,200 acres, although sometimes their domain is 3 times larger. Different family groups feud with each other and strictly observe borders. If a stranger accidentally crosses it, a harsh fate awaits them, sometimes leading to a lethal outcome. That's why the meerkats in our video decided to show their young ones how things work around them from an early age, where it's okay to play and where it's not worth going. In meerkat groups, by the way, females, not males, lead. And honestly, there's nothing surprising about that. Female meerkats are bigger and stronger than males, so it's quite logical. There are animals in the world that you can hear at a distance of dozens and even hundreds of miles. Later on, I'll tell you about them. Let's start with a creature that could potentially claim to be the loudest on the planet. Why potentially? Because its existence has not yet been confirmed, but it's also possible that such a creation exists. I'm talking about the bloop. This is how scientists named the mysterious and anomalous sound which was recorded in the Pacific Ocean in 1997. It was anomalous because it was recorded at a distance of 3,100 miles. As scientists say, this sound resembled the one made by whales or dolphins, but even if it were the largest whale of all time, it wouldn't be able to make such a sound. That's when theories began to be put forward that the sound was made by an unknown creature. It was called the bloop after the sound it made. According to theorists who made calculations, the bloop should be 650 to 1,000 feet long and make such a loud sound. I don't know whether it's a coincidence or not, but even some reputable oceanographers and travelers claiming they once saw something abnormal under the water, the size of which was baffling. Were they imagining? Or did they see that very bloop? It's unknown, and it's not clear what's even better. Well, now let's move on to the loud animals that definitely exist. And let's go in ascending order. First is the lion. The kings of the jungle have impressive vocal skills. Lions can hiss, bark, and even purr. But of course, their main sound is their trademark roar, which can be shocking. You bet, the powerful roar of the lion is spread across the savanna and can be heard up to 5 miles away. With its roar, the king of the jungle can easily frighten its enemies and make them freeze in terror. Lions also roar at male congeners which have a claim on something. In addition, roaring is used as a communication tool. By roaring, lions can mark the territory they occupy. In this way, they can make it clear where their pride is and also persuade other lions to stay out of their territory and occupy some other part of the savanna. This area, by the way, can be huge, up to 40 square miles or more. I forgot to mention that the lion's roar is about 114 decibels loud. This is comparable to the sound of thunder or very heavy traffic. The next animal in this episode has this figure of 120, which can be compared to the volume of a rock concert or an airplane at takeoff. And interestingly, this animal is dozens of times smaller than a lion. I'm talking about locusts. You've all probably heard these insects chirping. They do it loudly, so there's nothing striking about it. But it's still amazing when you find out what even a single locust can do. The loudest insects on the planet use a special sound membrane driven into oscillation by muscles. The resulting metallic sound resonates in special cavities inside the body and reaches an unusually high volume of sound. Often, the sound of locusts can be heard at a distance of over 1,300 feet. You may ask, why then can a lion be heard farther away if it roars quieter than a locust? It's all about frequencies. Locusts are very small insects that produce sounds at high frequencies. These frequencies are physically perceived quieter than the low roar of the king of the jungle, hence the difference in distance. What's also interesting is that locusts chirp mostly during the hottest time of the day, as heat is an important source of energy which the insects spend on singing. White bellbird. The sound of insects can be maddening sometimes, as can the sound of birds singing in the summer under an open window. I'm sure many of you are annoyed by it. And you're lucky if you don't live in South America, where white bellbirds live. They're the loudest birds in the world. Usually they do not sing without stopping. They destroy our ears with their sounds surgically at times. But this is not very pleasant either. And if there are a lot of white bellbirds, then their singing can really drive you crazy or make you lose your hearing, at least temporarily. Their volume is 125 decibels. By the way, such cries are made by the white bellbird during the mating period. This is how it tries to attract the attention of females and beat male rivals in vocal performance. The bird is small, about the size of a pigeon, but technically it screams louder than an airplane taking off. But how? It's all about the large lower larynx, developed abdominal muscles, strong ribs, and wide mouth. In addition, before starting to impress females, the white bellbird swallows air and inflates its throat, which allows it to increase the amplitude of sound. The same method is used by musicians playing wind instruments. Howler monkey. Since we're talking about music, this animal will be right on point. Only if the white bellbird is compared to a brass band, then the howler monkey is a typical metal band frontman. Just check out its growling and screaming. If you don't have a lead singer with a powerful voice for your band, why not use the services of these monkeys that live in Central and South America? Joking aside, the vocal abilities of howler monkeys are really amazing. The volume of their roars can reach 128 decibels. That's close to the threshold of intolerability. Howler monkeys have well-developed throat sacs, in which sound resonates perfectly. That's why they manage to produce such extreme vocals which can be heard at a distance of up to 3 miles. And that's without any microphones, unlike rockers. Usually, howler monkeys scream at dawn and dusk, as well as if they're disturbed. The loudest are males. Females also scream, but quieter and higher. As in the case of other animals, screaming is used as a means of communication or deterrence. But mostly these primates use their shrill roars to warn others of their location and to avoid territorial conflicts. What do we know about bats? That they live in caves, sleep upside down, and fly spookily in the sky, right? I think everyone knows that, but far fewer people know that among bats there are some of the loudest animals in the world. I'm talking about bulldog bats. They're also called fishing bats. They live in South America. These bats are small, weighing less than 3.5 ounces, plus they're barely over 4 inches long, but they scream so loud. According to various sources, the volume of their sounds ranges 137 to 188 decibels. That's the volume at which fighter jets fly. Also about the volume at the epicenter of a fireworks explosion. Fortunately, nature has taken pity on South Americans, otherwise they would all have gone deaf long ago. Still remember that thing about frequencies? There it is again. Bulldog bats scream very loudly, but they produce sounds at an extremely high frequencies of 20 kilohertz and higher. The human ear can't pick up those sounds. At most, we'll be able to hear some crackling if we put the bat to the ear or put a microphone to it. And that's just the lower range of its vocal range. These bats use these sounds for echolocation, like other bats. It helps them track each other, analyze space, and find fish in the water. The second name of the animals speaks vividly about their dietary preferences. Most animals use their loud sounds to communicate with each other or to scare enemies away. The pistol shrimp is a different story. It uses its loudness to destroy its opponents. The fact is that the pistol shrimp is an amazing sniper. The name fits the creature just perfectly. One of its claws actually works on the principle of a pistol. The shrimp clenches and unclenches its claw and does so with incredible speed. As a result, the animal shoots at the enemy with a jet of hot water at a speed of 62 miles per hour. The water becomes hot because the insane speed makes the snap cause a flash of light and heats up the claw to 9,032 degrees Fahrenheit for a moment. That's 4 to 5 times hotter than lava. At the same time, the ultra-fast shot is accompanied by a sound, just like a real gun. At the moment, the volume of the shrimp shot reaches 200 to 210 decibels. This volume, combined with the shot, stuns the opponent, and the arthropod easily eats it. Also, by such tricks, the pistol shrimp can drive predators away. And finally, the leaders in terms of loudness in the animal world. Many of you have been waiting for them, and yes, they are whales, of course. In general, all whales are loud in one way or another, but I'll tell you about the loudest of them. The first one is the blue whale. Everything's kind of logical here. This is the largest animal on the planet. It has an incredible mass, insane length, gigantic organs, and therefore its voice should be phenomenal by default. It is. The volume of the blue whale's sounds can reach up to 188 decibels. Our ears are saved by two factors. Firstly, blue whales scream deep underwater, where their sound is spread over a distance of more than 930 miles. Secondly, it's the good old frequencies again. Blue whales scream and cry at quite low frequencies. Our ears can hear them, but we still don't go deaf. It would be much worse if blue whales were to roar at middle frequencies. By the way, scientists do not fully understand why blue whales produce calls, whether to exchange information or to warn of danger or just for communication and acquaintance. Well, another whale, the sperm whale, is considered the absolute world leader. This huge creature, with a giant head, screams at a volume of 236 decibels per micropascal per meter. Interestingly, the sounds of sperm whales are different. They can roar and sing, or they can click, and it sounds unusual and very loud, at least for other sperm whales, which are guided by the sounds of their congeners. From the loudest animals, I suggest moving on to the rarest. Stay tuned. The rarest and most unusual red animals in the world are waiting for you next. Red lory. Let's start with a very beautiful parrot. The red lory lives in the Malay archipelago in South Asia, where it can be found in tropical forests. There, this red-haired bird feeds on flowers, pollen, fruit, nectar, and insects. Red color is the most common among representatives of the species, but it's not easy to find completely red lories. More often, they have inserts and flecks of blue, purple, or black. Like other parrots, the red lory can be taught to speak. You certainly won't get bored with it because the red lory is a playful, bright, and theatrical feathered creature. In South Asia, some people keep it as a pet. Madagascar tomato frog. That's when the name speaks for itself. While most common frogs settle for the traditional green color, this amphibian from Madagascar is as red as a tomato. Not only does this color look epic, but it also serves an important function. It warns potential predators that the prey in question is inedible. And it's not a bluff. When in danger, the tomato frog releases a toxic and sticky substance. It can glue the jaws of the predator and cause an allergic reaction in humans. Better not to eat such tomatoes. Siamese fighting fish. The next animal in the episode is interesting for several reasons at once. First, it's a fish of unusual red color. However, there are also other colors, but today we're interested in red creatures. Secondly, it has an interesting voile tail plumage and long fins, which distinguish the Siamese fighting fish from many other aquatic inhabitants. But most importantly, these fish got their name for a reason. They really fight and have fights with each other. Some biologists even consider the Siamese fighting fish the most aggressive fish in the world, and even the most aggressive representatives of the fauna in general. In Asia, these fish are still sometimes bred specifically for fighting, like some fighting dogs or roosters. However, most of the time these fish are not bought for that, but so they can create beauty and comfort in the house and please the eye. Red scorpion fish. If the Siamese fighting fish is only dangerous to other fish, and above all to its own congeners, then this creature is also a danger to humans because it's venomous. Not for nothing, it's called a scorpion, right? The red scorpion fish lives near the seabed, where it merges with the environment and stalks its prey, mainly other fish, crustaceans, and mollusks. Numerous spines located on the body of the scorpion fish have venomous glands. To be pricked by them is quite painful, but people are not confused by this, and they actively catch this dangerous fish in the Atlantic Ocean. Blood red glider. I bet you've never seen a butterfly with such a bright color. There are many beautiful individuals among these insects, but the blood red glider is especially beautiful. These amazing creatures belong to the Nymphalidae family and live in Central America. The butterflies of this species are not very well studied, but we can say for sure about their color. The dorsal part and wings of the blood red glider are colored red, while the color of the abdominal side varies from olive to grayish or brown shades. Scarlet ibis. This amazing bird can be found in the north of South America, from Venezuela and Guyana to Brazil and the island of Trinidad. The scarlet ibis, or the guara, is interesting because it's literally completely red, which is unusual even for other red animals. As a rule, all the plumage and legs of the bird are colored bright red. At the same time, males and females look the same, which can cause confusion even among scientists. The bird is also a full-fledged national symbol. The scarlet ibis is depicted on the coat of the arms of Trinidad and Tobago, which is located in the Caribbean Sea. Next to the ibis on the coat of arms, there's the cacrico, another national bird of the state. Red velvet mite. As a rule, mites are black or gray. In addition, they're also small, which makes them very difficult to see in thickets. The red velvet mite, on the other hand, is a completely different story. Due to the fact that it differs from its mite relatives by its bright orange-red color, it's almost impossible not to notice it. Plus, it looks more like a small spider than a mite. The red velvet mite is an active predator when mature, while when young, it parasitizes on other insects and even some spiders. Northern cardinal. If you've played Angry Birds at least once, you're definitely familiar with the next animal of this episode. The northern cardinal, named Red, is the main character of this game. The bird is also known as the common cardinal or the red cardinal. Like the scarlet ibis, the red cardinal is a symbol, but not of a country. It's a symbol of 7 states in the USA. In fact, the red bird is found there, but it can also be found in Canada, Mexico, and even in Guatemala. The red cardinal impresses by its beauty and richness of color. The males are more colorful than the females. The females have a more modest coloration, so ornithologists and fans of exotic value the males more. They're ready to pay a lot of money to purchase this feathered creature. The price for one bird can reach $800. Cherry shrimp. Who would have thought a shrimp could be unusual and interesting? The cherry shrimp is a variety of freshwater shrimp from Taiwan, as well as some provinces of mainland China. Cherry shrimp have recently become very popular with aquarists. They're often kept at home. They're not fastidious in food, they're easy to look after, and most importantly, they look very unusual. Red panda. Everyone knows about the common giant pandas, but in addition to them, there are also red pandas. Otherwise, they're called lesser pandas. If I can put it that way, these creatures can be called more authentic pandas than the giant black and white ones, because if those belong to the bears family, then these belong to the Aluridae, or the true panda family. Red pandas are like a combination of a fox, a cat, and a bear. They have a very unusual appearance, which is also complemented by an incredible color. Red pandas are small. They weigh about 11 to 13 pounds and are about 20 inches long. In general, they do not differ much from domestic cats in terms of size. By the way, they have something else in common with domestic cats, a thick and fluffy tail. Red pandas often use it as a blanket to keep themselves warm. Red color in animals looks very cool, but in the world you can find other creatures with unusual colors. I suggest you take a look at them. Keep watching to see a Spider-Man lizard, an albino zebra, and a yellow penguin. Spider-Man lizard. Actually, this lizard is called the Wanza flat-headed rock agama, but it would be much better to name it after the famous superhero. Firstly, it's easier, and secondly, just look at it. This lizard is a real Spider-Man. Its color matches the Peter Parker costume. It feels like this lizard is about to finish its business and fly to save New York City from criminals. If so, it'll take a long time to fly, since these reptiles live in Africa. There, they bask in the sun, feed on locusts, grasshoppers, and worms, and are often kept as pets. Surprisingly, these creatures are very docile, tame, and live a good life in captivity. Albino zebra. I think everyone knows what albino animals are. These creatures are usually completely white. But what would an albino zebra look like? Is it also completely white? Not exactly. It looks as if it has just lost its saturation. It still has stripes, but they're not black. It's as if nature didn't have enough paint to make them stand out and be really dark. Although albino zebras look unusual, there are few advantages of such a feature. First, zebra stripes play an important protective role. They confuse predators and often keep many blood-sucking insects away from zebras. For this reason, albino zebras may be more vulnerable. Second, such animals are vulnerable in general. It's harder for them to hide from predators, they're affected more by sunlight, and it's harder for them to find a mate. And most importantly, they have a weak immune system, which means they die from various diseases more often than others. Yellow penguin. Next, we have one of the rarest animals in the whole world in general. This yellow penguin caused quite a sensation when it was seen and filmed in Antarctica several years ago. By the way, it was the first time anyone saw such a penguin at all. Before that, scientists could only guess about the existence of such an individual. This penguin is distinguished from its usual black and white congeners by its yellow look. In general, emperor penguins have yellow elements of their bodies, for example the collar. However, this individual retained the yellow feathers and lost all the dark ones. Scientists still don't understand what caused such a color, but according to one theory, it's about leucism, a disease in which animals partially lose pigmentation of the outer coat. Unfortunately, as in the case with the albino zebra, the penguin's unique appearance does not play into its hands. The yellow color is too noticeable for predators and unattractive to the opposite sex. Whale. Everyone knows that whales are the largest animals in the world at the moment, but not everyone knows that whales are the largest animals ever in all of history as a whole. At least in terms of weight, they've never been equaled. The Antarctic blue whale is the largest of all its congeners. This blue whale subspecies always amazes people with its incredible size. Even ordinary individuals of this subspecies can grow up to 100 feet in length and weigh more than 150 tons. But there are also certain individuals which surpass everyone in general. An individual that was photographed relatively recently can be called the largest whale, as well as the largest animal in history. I'm talking about the blue whale, which was seen in September 2012 off the coast of Australia. They had time to catch it on camera, and on the basis of these materials, scientists concluded that the giant weighed more than 200 tons. This is the absolute record among all whales on the planet. As for length, the record holder is a female blue whale, which was found by whalers in 1926 near the South Shetland Islands in Antarctica. At that time, whaling was not yet illegal, so they were able to properly measure the female. Its length was 110.1 feet. Interestingly, there were longer animals in history, but you'll learn more about them later. In the meantime, let's take a look at the main modern giant of the land, the African bush elephant. This is the largest land mammal. It's normal for elephants of this species to grow up to 10 to 13 feet in height, 20 to 23 feet in length, and weigh about 5 to 6 tons. Even this is very impressive, but it's not the limit. In 1974, for example, hunters shot an African bush elephant in Angola, which weighed 12 tons. Unfortunately, there's no footage of this record breaker, or it hasn't survived, but we can imagine what it looked like. It looks like this to me. Even from a distance, this big creature looks very big, and when it gets close to the car, it's really scary. I think it might well weigh 12 tons or even more. Apparently, this elephant is old, which means it's gained a lot of mass over its long life. Giraffe. This is another famous African giant. Giraffes are not as massive as elephants, but they're very tall. Even at birth they are. A newborn baby, if it can be called such at all, is already about 6 feet tall and weighs 110 pounds. When the giraffe grows up and becomes a full-fledged adult, its height is about 13 to 16 feet. But there have been larger creatures, for example, the amazing giraffe named George. As you can see, feeding him was not an easy task. George, kept in Chester Zoo in England, was 19 feet tall, and according to some reports, he was even taller, more than 20 feet tall. It's said that George was rather cheeky and a hooligan. He took advantage of his height and took off hats from visitors when they approached his enclosure. The current record holder is also impressive. It's a male named Forrest, who lives at the zoo in the Australian state of Queensland. 3 years ago, he got into the Guinness Book of World Records for his incredible height. The measurement procedure was not an easy one. In order to understand exactly how many inches a giraffe had, a special measuring pole was set up near the place where he fed, and Forrest was photographed against it for several months. As a result, they came to the conclusion that his height was 18.7 feet. That's very impressive. Let's go back to the sea, where you can find quite a few other big animals besides whales. Sharks immediately come to mind. If we talk about predatory sharks, they're not the largest in the world. This is understandable because with huge size, it would be very difficult for them to hunt. Nonetheless, there are record breakers among them. For example, a female great white shark named Deep Blue, who has already become a legend among divers. First of all, it's because she's not aggressive. She often allows divers to swim next to her and actively pose for the camera. Secondly, Deep Blue gained fame because of her incredible size. Scientists believe that this is the largest great white shark in the world. At the moment, she is 21.9 feet long and weighs 5,511 pounds. It's not even surprising that many people consider it a direct descendant of Megalodon. Thanks for watching. What impressed you the most in this episode? Let me know in the comments and subscribe to the channel.